with your CIGTV News Update. I'm April Cummings in for Donna Bush. In our top story, we mark the end of the 2019 hurricane season, reflecting on the unique storms that defined it and how it compared to predictions made at the start of the season. National Weather Service Director General John Tibbetts says although there was a lack of activity around the Cayman area, 2019 was still an active season. Colorado State predicted 13 named storms. There were actually 18. They predicted 5 hurricanes, and we ended up with 6. And instead of the 2 major hurricanes predicted, we had 3. While Cayman did go unscathed this year, the Bahamas bore the brunt of Hurricane Dorian, a Category 5.
Hurricane Dorian obviously would be the storm of the year. In part because of its strength. It was one of 3 major storms, but it was by far the most powerful storm. It was also the storm that produced the most damage and the most cost of life. Its peak winds were 185 miles per hour, death toll greater than 60, and damage, the numbers are talking about $7 billion worth of damage in the Bahamas alone.
Hazard Management ensures Cayman is as prepared as possible in the event of a major storm. Director Danielle Coleman says they've made a great deal of progress this year to be sure that Cayman is as ready as it can be for any potential hazard.
Some of the things we're really excited about this year that we've managed to implement during the season is 2 animal-friendly shelters. We've done a lot of work with HSA in regards to mental health in both the shelters and the National Emergency Operations Centre. We've been working very closely with the Governor's Office to implement Crisis Hub, which is a missing persons tool that we can, again, find missing persons in the aftermath of a disaster. We've also been working the last 2 months with the Red Cross and have done over 2,000 school children we've been presenting to on multi-hazards, which again, helps get the message out to family homes as well as the children themselves and the teachers. We're very excited about the NEANS, which is the National Emergency Notification System, and the development of Phase 1 of the radio interrupt. And again, that will be, the public will be hearing a lot more tests coming up in the future, but we're excited that now has been completed. And we're working on Phase 2, which is an app, a notification app. So that, again, there's a lot of work that Hazard Management has been doing with partners, and we're very grateful to all the partners and the public for working with us and making sure that Cayman is prepared as possible for any eventuality.
The 2019 hurricane season officially ended on Saturday. Of course, storms can happen outside the season, so always be prepared. His Excellency the Governor joined Home Affairs Minister the Honorable Tara Rivers this week on a tour of Cayman's fire stations. It is the Governor's first visit to the Frank Sound Road, West Bay, and Central fire stations. He saw specialist equipment, had a tour of the fire trucks, and got to meet some new recruits. The Governor also awarded challenge coins to fire officers in recognition of the brother and sisterhood of the service. Interim Chief Fire Officer Paul Walker also presented His Excellency with his own challenge coin as a token of thanks. The National Roads Authority begins work on district roads in the Boddentown area starting on Nash Street. The NRA is currently undertaking a large number of road improvements, including an expansion to the Red Bay Roundabout. Transportation planner Marion Pandue says the increased capacity will benefit road users at peak travel times.
At the Red Bay Roundabout on December 1st, 2019, the National Roads Authority put in some changes to help with the traffic flow for traffic going to and from the east. As you know, the Red Bay Roundabout has a 3rd lane, which we have now opened up, and now the traffic from Red Bay or on Shamrock Road now travels is directed to travel on the inner lane, while the traffic from the east-west arterial is traveling on the existing 2 lanes and merges further down.
Work is also underway in the Shamrock Road area to help traffic flow and to improve entry and exit to the Achievement Center, Red Bay Primary, and Lighthouse Schools. For all the details, please visit the NRA Facebook page. Also in the headlines this time from the Radio Cayman newsroom, the Cayman Turtle Center releases white-crowned pigeons and white-winged doves into their natural habitat. And Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Solins was there to cover the story. Felicia says 2 different species were released, 11 white-crowned pigeons in all, along with 20 white-winged doves. The birds were raised at the Turtle Center, part of the program to help the population recover after Hurricane Ivan destroyed much of their habitat. In our final segment today, the Cayman Compass goes to the Sister Islands, where the once dominant rock iguana species is struggling to reach adulthood.
So Cyclura is the genus name for the West Indian rock iguanas, and they are in fact the most endangered group of lizards in the entire world. So we have a great responsibility looking after our iguanas, and most people will probably think about the rock iguanas as the blue iguana, right? So most people are familiar with the blue iguana we have here in Grand Cayman, but the blue iguana has a sister, and it lives on the sister islands, Little Cayman and Cayman Brac, and it's called, in fact, the sister island rock iguana. Yeah, so the rock iguanas used to be the dominant large land animal on all of the West Indies. Of course, that's no longer the case. So right now the iguanas live where there's still space for them, but historically they used to live across the islands. They used to use the forest for food, they used to use the coastal areas for nesting, so they used to be all over the place. Now in Little Cayman in particular we find the iguanas in the xerophytic shrubland, so with the karst and the rock holes, and then coming of course to the coast to breed during breeding season. So they didn't used to have a lot of predators, only when they were small. So they would outgrow the snakes and they would outgrow the birds eventually. So the problem that we're facing on the sister islands in particular is that the population is being hit on two levels, two critical levels. The babies are being eaten a lot by cats, feral cats, and the adults are being run over by speeding motorists. And of course, both issues can really dramatically put a dent in the population. We may not see it for the next couple of years, but suddenly if there's no recruitment, these are long-lived animals, the populations can just really decline dramatically. Right, so the surveys are extremely important to get sort of a snapshot in time of what the populations are doing. Are they increasing? Are they declining? And if they are declining, why is that? And how can we help, not have these amazing animals go extinct on our watch, as it were? So in November, the team and I went over to Little Cayman to continue our surveying. We haven't done it since 2015. There's been a lot going on. So we're just really excited to get the results back. Although we fear that the population has declined, it's good to know by how much and why that is. Okay, so our preliminary survey results show that we don't have a lot of animals that are less than, say, 3 or 4 years old. That's a real problem because that means the babies don't ever live to be reproductively mature. And so therefore we're putting the population through an artificial bottleneck, as it were. We're putting constraints on the amount of animals that are represented in the future, and for a small island population, that's really critical.
Turning to the day's weather forecast from the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, light to moderate northerly winds and moderate seas are expected over the next 24 hours as a weak cold front dissipates east of the Cayman area. Radar images are showing no showers within the Cayman area. The Thursday evening forecast calls for fair skies, less than a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures in the mid-70s. Winds out of the north to northeast at 10 to 15 knots and slight to moderate seas with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. For the very latest, visit weather.gov.ky. You can also visit their Facebook page or check them out on the radio on 107.9 FM. The National Weather Service also has an app. Download CINWS for the latest weather info at your fingertips. And that is the latest from us here at CIG Television. You can see what's on our programming schedule at gis.gov.ky and click on the publications icon at the bottom of the page. You can always find our videos on demand on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And don't forget to tune in to Radio Cayman's For the Record and Talk Today shows. I'm April Cummings in for Donna Bush. Thanks for watching.
The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service has launched a new service to apply for a police clearance certificate online. To make this process quick and easy, ensure you have digital copies of all required documents readily available. At a minimum, you'll need a copy of your passport photo page. Our website lists the full requirements. If you are using an Apple iOS or Android mobile device, you can use the camera to take photos of these documents while completing your application. After you have read the instructions and are ready to start, type in the alphanumeric string from the CAPTCHA image and click the green button that says Start Application. If you can't read the letters and numbers properly, click Can't Read Image below the photo to try again. To complete your application, you will follow 5 simple steps. These are shown at the top of each page, and the blue circle will always show where you are right now. Enter the requested data in each field. All fields marked with an asterisk are required. Each field has some help information, and please pay attention to the correct format for dates and telephone numbers in particular. When selecting your birthday, you can also use the calendar feature. If a field has a drop-down list, you can scroll through alphabetically or start typing to find the correct option. You will be asked to enter your email address twice to ensure it's correct. This is the address we will use to send you a confirmation email and receipt. Once you have entered all of the required information, click Next at the bottom of the screen. If you click the Cancel Application button at any stage in the process, you will lose everything you've entered so far and be returned to the home page. On this page, answer the questions about past offenses, provide details if relevant, and then click Next. In this step, you will select the type of service being requested and details of the person applying, as well as anyone who might pick up the certificate on his or her behalf. If you select certain options, more information may be required at this stage or later in the process when you are uploading your documents. Finally, select the reasons you are applying and then click Next. If you make a mistake, use the drop-down menu to change the reason or click the red X to delete a line. Remember, if you click the Cancel Application button at any stage in the process, you will lose everything you've entered so far and be returned to the home page. If you need to go back to a previous page to review or change data you already entered, you can use the Back button. You can also navigate through the process using the links at the top of the page. On this page, you will be asked for the relevant digital documents to support your application. On each line, click the Upload icon, select the correct file, and then click Upload. Repeat this process for each document. Based on the information you've already entered, this page will tell you the basic documents required. However, please remember to read the guidance notes to ensure you've included everything for your particular application. You can click the Upload More Documents button if you need to add more files, using the Comments field to briefly explain the additional documents you are submitting. If you go back to previous sections after uploading documents and make changes that affect these requirements, you may need to re-upload your documents. This is the final page before submission. Please review all information provided to ensure it is accurate and complete. You won't be able to change anything on this page, but you can use the Back button or the links at the top of the page to return to earlier pages and update any field. By submitting this application, you are declaring that the information provided is accurate and truthful. If you are satisfied with your application, click Proceed to Online Payment. You may need to allow pop-ups and then click the button again to show the payment screen where you will enter your debit or credit card information. The Cayman Islands government accepts Visa and MasterCard, and you can use a debit or credit card issued anywhere in the world. Payment will be processed in Cayman Islands dollars for local service, and in United States dollars for overseas service. If you have questions about any exchange rate that will be used, or foreign currency transaction fees, please contact the bank that issued your card. The Cayman Islands government will not receive or retain your card information. Once your online payment has been authorized, you can view and print your receipt. Click Continue to return to our webpage for details on pickup date and time. If there is an issue with your application and we have to contact you for more information, your application may be delayed. You will also receive a confirmation email with this information and your official receipt. Please remember to bring your passport for identification when you collect your certificate from the Criminal Records Office.
I'm Jody Ann Powery. I'm the Police Media Officer with the RCIPS, and I'm here to give you some crime prevention tips on how to best protect your property. The first thing that we want to discuss is our points of entries. Let's start with the front door, and then we'll move on to the windows and the back doors or sliding glass doors. The first thing to consider is the front door. This particular front door has 2 deadbolt locks. One of these deadbolt locks are properly carpentered and the other is not. When your door is properly locked, you'll hear a click at the end and the deadbolts are not able to move. If it is slightly opened, then you can push the deadbolt back without having any restrictions. I'll now proceed to show you what your lock should look like when it is properly locked. When it comes to your windows, you want to make sure that your window is locked all the way down, because even though the lock is on, if it's not all the way down, it can still be pried. The proper way to lock the window is to make sure that the window goes all the way down to the seal and then you pull across the lock. When you have a sliding glass door at home, you want to make sure that you have secondary locking devices in addition to the lock that comes with the door. One of those can be a simple piece of wood that's jamming the doorway. We want to encourage you to ensure that you don't make things easy for burglars who are looking for opportunities to break into property by leaving your property out in plain view. Some of these items are your car keys, your electronics, and your handbags. Make sure that you put these properties away when you're leaving the house or when you're going to bed. When you're going camping or if you're taking your family on a trip, you want to ensure that your property has some sign of life. This can be done by leaving a light on or putting timers on your lights. And we want to ensure that our family homes are safe. In order to do so, we encourage that people take the proper precautions by starting up neighborhood watches or encouraging family members or persons they trust to check on their properties while they're away.
The Esterly Tibbetts Highway 3-lane roundabout is ready for drivers. It's time to make sure you know how to use it. First, know which exit you need to take. Pay attention to lane arrows and signs. Make sure you use your signal to change lanes or exit the roundabout. To turn left, you always approach in the left-hand lane and indicate left. To drive straight ahead, you need to be looking out for signs and road markings indicating which lane to use. Get in one of the lanes marked with a straight-through arrow. If turning right, you must use the right-hand lane and indicate accordingly. To use the roundabout safely, remember these 3 tips. Know your exit, pick your lane, and signal to make your turn.
Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?